Welcome to my case study of parental apathy. What we know, Miss Rose is a new principal assistant at John F. Kennedy School. She would like to see more parental involvement in the school, and as she approaches the principal, she discovers that he is not necessarily for it. He doesn't believe that parents want any more involvement than what they currently have. He agrees to let her set up a parental meeting to try, not a PTA or a PTO, but if she just wants to bring in some people to see parents to see if they'll set up a parental advisory committee, he is fine with that. She sends out the invitations and only 8 parents show up. Thus, we have our problem. Why are only 8 people showing up to this meeting? Could it be socioeconomic demographics of the school? I don't know. Do the parents have work schedules that prevent them from coming or for volunteering for lunch duty? Do they have money to pay for a babysitter while they're at the meeting? Do they have a car? Or do they have to take public transportation, which they don't want to do at night? Could it be ethnic or demographics? Do they speak English? Could they read the invitation? Is English hard for them? Interacting with the teachers is challenging, so they avoid it. What is it that's keeping them from being involved in that school? What are the teachers' perceptions? Are they satisfied with the level of parental involvement they see? Do parents respond to them? Do they not respond to them? And where do they see the parents in the community? That's going to be important for my plan of action. And what are the other types of communication that have been tried? Do parents respond to text messages? Do they respond to notes, snail mail, phone calls? What have they tried that works? So my problem overview is summed up with the emblem on the middle of the page. The 2 circles represent the 2 different groups of people, the school and the community, the stakeholders. The parents are the other oval, and they're not overlapping right now. We don't have any interaction happening. And how do we solve that problem? That's the I, the information needed to figure out what that barrier is. Once we know the barrier, we can bring it down, we can solve the problem. So the first problem is the invitations. They were sent home with the students. Problem number 1 right there. We don't even know if they got home. We don't know if the parents even know about the meeting. Or do they get it, but they just simply forgot about the meeting? All of these are possibilities. So we need to look into that and find out what happened. There needs to be a variety of modes used, communication modes used to tell people about the meeting. It needs to be in a variety of languages also if you have those within your school. This is the crux of the matter. Why aren't the parents participating? What is the barrier? They did come to conferences because the principal says that he had comments from parent-teacher conferences. So they're doing that. Why are they doing that, not other things? What have they been invited to that they do come to? What is it that gets to parents? We need to figure out what's going on. Is there a problem with homework completion? Is there just a complete apathy, or is the work being done? There's all kinds of information needed as to what the barrier is. But it can't be assumed that parents are not participating anywhere. We need to find out if they are, and if they are, where they are, how they are, why. Last thing, the parents are demanding one type of interaction from these parents. Come to a meeting. Maybe they do great when we send them projects home. Maybe they'll help their kids with homework. Maybe they go to all their kids' sporting events. What is it these parents do? What do they do to support their children? Because I'm quite sure their children matter to them. So what is it they do to go to them? And also, if we're going to demand they come into the school, then we need to be willing to go out into the public. We cannot ask them to do something we're not willing to do. So here's my plan. First is absolutely, you talk to those parents that came. Why wouldn't you? You've asked them because they probably are not a representative sample of parents. These are the parents who will do something, so let's use them. What can we do? Can we talk to them and find out what would be beneficial to parents that would be a yay hooray. If they can say an after-school program would really be helpful, maybe then we can set that up and draw in other parents. We have got to make the first step. We have got to offer the parents something, a hook, to get them into the school. And these parents might be just the parents to help us do that. They'll communicate with us. Maybe they'll even help with whatever we set up. My next plan of action after that would be to talk to parents. What have they been successful in getting parents to do? What has worked for them? What hasn't worked for them? Is homework a problem? Is that, because that's an easy fix. An after-school homework program is an easy fix. And if that helps parents, great, let's go there. Let's do something to help these parents and pull them in as partners, show them we're wanting to help. And the other thing I would want teachers to tell me is, where do they see the parents out in the community? Because I need that information for my plan of action. And this is the third step. The principal feels he has a sense of the pulse of the community, and that's what I want. That's what Mrs. Rose should want, is a sense of that pulse of the community. But I don't see how you get it with such limited face-to-face interactions and discussions. So I'm going to go out into the community. I am going to go, as Green said in the quote in our directions, outside the schoolhouse and find out what's going on. Who are these people? Where do they hang out? What do they do? What do they need? What do they value? And go from there, because I don't think until we know that we can figure out how to help them and make that type of connection that's going to pull them in and build a true collaborative relationship. I want to meet them on their turf so that they don't feel defensive, they don't feel out of place. I want their comfort level to be high so they'll build a trust in me and be willing to communicate to me what they need so they can understand I want to help the community. So, resolving the issue. It absolutely needs to be resolved, because caring teachers are the number one way, effective caring teachers are the number one way to increase student learning, and parental involvement is also highly correlated with later student achievement. So I need to get these parents involved. I need to get the community supportive of what we do. So I'm going to talk to those parents at that meeting. I'm going to listen more than I talk. I'm going to ask questions and listen to the answers. I'm not going to ask anything of them. I'm going to make it clear that I'm here to help, that I want to set up something that helps them, not that I'm asking them to help me. Then I'm going to talk with those teachers and find out what's worked for them. This is all part of putting a plan together that will cut out a lot of the trial and error. I want to know which parents I can count on, where I can find these parents, how I can help these parents, what these parents have been willing to do in the past. I'm going to gather my information, I'm going to listen, and then I'm going to put a plan together to reach out to those parents on their turf. Okay? After I gather that information, I need to go to the principal. I need to make sure he's on board. I do not want to do anything that's going to make that principal feel threatened. The last thing I need is for him to be resistant to anything I suggest. Anytime I come up with a parent suggestion and he resists it, the parents are going to feel that as well. I need him on board. And I think he will be, because he made that comment that early on he was all gung-ho for parental involvement as well. I think he wants it, and I think he knows that it's important. He's just frustrated because he hasn't been able to accomplish that. So that's going to be my first step, is to talk to him and get him on board. And I'm going to do that by telling him I'm following his footsteps. I'm trying to do what he did. Flattery gets you everything, right? Then I'll go out in the public and I'll watch and I'll listen and I'll talk and I'll just be nice and see what I can hear and see what I can offer. So debriefing, how would I feel in this problem? Frustration, first of all. Setting up a meeting and having 8 people show up would be very frustrating. I have been part of the negotiations team for over 10 years. I know how frustrating it can be to go to all the trouble to set this up and then not have anybody agree to help, but more than willing to complain. It's frustrating. I also would have anxiety because I don't know what's causing this problem. I don't know why only 8 people showed up. In my part of the world, parents are involved. This isn't a problem that normally exists. So I would be a little anxious because I would want to know. I'd want to know, why aren't these parents coming? And then towards the end, I'd feel a sense of pride because I really do think it's just a matter of communication and relationship building and listening. Parents love their kids. Parents want their kids to do well, and they're willing to help them. It's just a matter of figuring out how I can help them do that. Um, the remaining issues to solving the problems. The principal's attitude is a problem. That is something that has to be solved. As I said earlier, if he is not on board with this and those parents sense his resistance, my efforts are going to be thwarted. I need the principal on board. I need everybody in that school to be wanting to welcome those parents and encouraging the parents. The other problem is discerning what is the barrier. Parents a lot of times are hesitant to share criticisms of teachers. And so I need them to be honest. I need them to tell me what's going on so that I can solve the problem. And so that I see that as a potential barrier. I think trust takes time. This isn't a problem that's going to be solved overnight. Finally, the bigger problem would be the community. Everybody out in that community is a stakeholder, is a taxpayer. And so I need them all to support the school. So I need that waitress at the cafe to be a school supporter. So when she hears negative comments being made, she's going to back us. She's going to say, you know what, I know a lot of those teachers. They're great people. I know that assistant principal. She really wants to support this community. The more people I can find who are going to say good things about us, that feeling will be contagious and it will spread. And so this is a baby step process. It's going to be getting the principal on board, figuring out what the real problem is and fixing it, get the parents on board, get the larger community on board. And the first steps are going to be to offer my help before I ask anything of them. But in the long run, that will pay off. Thank you.